Effective management coaching is one of the most transformative skills a leader can build, and it's one of the most misunderstood because most leaders are convinced they're already doing it. So let me start with a gentle challenge to you. Think about your last few one-to-ones, the career chat with your high performer, the problem-solving session with the engineer who's stuck, the conversation where someone brought you a mess and left with a plan. You may well be describing those as coaching conversations. Here's my question for you. In those conversations, whose brain did the work? If you're honest, in most of them, it was yours. They brought the problem, you brought the experience, the pattern matching, the suggestions, the have you tried, the when I was in your situation. They left with your answer. That's not coaching, that's mentoring. But I want to be really clear with you before we go any further. Mentoring is valuable. Every single one of my clients, I say to them, you need mentors in addition to me as your coach. Mentoring is generous. It's often exactly what's needed, and you should keep doing it sometimes. The problem isn't that you're a mentor. The problem is that you've been mentoring in every conversation while calling it coaching, and the two tools do completely different things. Advice creates dependence. Coaching creates capability. And if you've ever wondered why your team keeps bringing you the same problems, why nothing moves when you're on holiday, why you've become the bottleneck in your own organization, that sentence is the answer. You've created dependence. Today, I'm going to show you how to shift things. I'm going to show you the difference, give you the actual framework I use and teach as a coach to other coaches, and show you what changes when you lead as a coach rather than as a mentor. Let's dive on in. Here's the mechanism you need to understand, because this is the one I cannot unsee once I've seen it. When someone brings you a problem and you give them an answer, three things happen. First, the immediate problem gets solved, usually well, because you're experienced and your answers are good. That's the seductive part. It feels really good, by the way, when we do this. Secondly, they learn something subtle. When I'm stuck, the path forward runs through her. Or when I'm stuck, somebody else has the answer. I can go and ask, which is also good. And third, this is the killer though. They don't build the muscle of working it out for themselves because you did the working out for them. Multiply that by every person on your team and every conversation over a couple of years, and you've trained an entire team to route their thinking through you. Not because you're not capable and they're not capable, because you've been so reliably useful that developing their own judgment has never been required. They've never had to exercise that very uncomfortable muscle. They have learned, she solves it for me. Brilliant, let's go check that. Potentially they've learned, if I don't take it through her, I'm not going to get the answer right. That's even more toxic. I see the results constantly of this in the leaders I coach. The calendar that's wall to wall with other people's problems, the holiday where nothing got decided, or the vacations you're not even taking. The sense, and this one's painful to hear, that you've built a team that executes brilliantly but can't think without you. If you listen to my episode on how to fix a struggling team, you'll remember over-functioning, doing your team's work for them. Answer giving is over-functioning. It's respectable. It's mentorship. It looks like leadership. It feels like helping. In the moment, it is brilliant, but it quietly caps your team's capability at the size of your availability. One of my clients, a VP of engineering, came to me last year utterly exhausted, and her presenting problem was time. I need better delegation systems. So true, by the way, we all do need that. But when we actually looked at her week, the systems were fine. What was eating her alive was conversations, 11, 12 a day. Each one was someone bringing her a decision to make or a problem to bless. She was proud of her open door system, and she should have been. Her team adored her. But when I asked her what happens to a problem when your team can't find you, when you're not there, she went quiet and she said, it waits. Actually, I'm always there. 300 combined years of engineering experience on that team, and problems waited for one calendar, hers. 6 months of deliberately shifting from answers to coaching questions has meant that today, it's taken a full 6 months. It really has. But today, her team is making the calls. They don't always get it right, but that's okay because they're also able to pick up the pieces. She's moved from answers to coaching questions. Her direct reports were making calls that she used to make. Her one-on-ones have halved in number. And her words to me are, I finally have thoughts longer than 15 minutes long. She has time and she has space. She is up-leveled, her team is up-leveled, and that opens the door to what's next for her. Nothing about her team changed. What changed was her. What changed was that she stopped being the place the thinking happened. Here's the test to know whether you're doing this. At the end of the conversation, ask yourself, has that person left with my answer or did their thinking sharpen? If you removed your expertise from the conversation entirely, would anything useful have happened? A mentor's value is in her answers. A coach's value is what she unlocks in the other person's answer. Both matter. But only one of them scales and only one of them is standing between you and the next level of your team and the next level of your own career as a result. Because the leader who is personally load-bearing in every decision is precisely the leader who can't be promoted out of her current role. So if coaching isn't actually advice giving, what actually is it? Let me give you the framework at the heart of how I coach and how I train coaches. It's called the Ignite framework because if you train under me, you become an Ignite coach. It starts somewhere most coaching conversations never go, diagnosis. Every person you talk to about a challenge is in one of three states relative to it. I call them reverse, neutral, and forward. Reverse is, this is happening to me. The situation has them. They're in the story as the object. The reorg is being done to them. The difficult stakeholder is impossible. The missed promotion proves something about them. Energy goes into rumination, blame, or defense. And critically, someone in reverse cannot plan. You can hand them the best action plan in the world and it will bounce off because their relationship to facts doesn't hold. They are in reverse. Neutral is, this is what's happening. The emotional charge has settled enough that they can look at the situation as a situation. Facts are on the table, not emotions. What's in my control, what isn't. Neutral doesn't feel exciting. It is neutral. That is the point. It's the gear where clarity happens, ideation happens, problem solving happens. You cannot problem solve when your emotion is controlling you. When you are either angry, ashamed, upset, hurt, frustrated, or excited and energetic, your emotional response clouds your ability to problem solve, believe it or not. Neutrality is, it's almost dull. It's not dull. But it's where emotions are not governing the situation. Facts are. Facts are on the table. And then we move from neutral to forward. This is where you have examined the facts in neutral. You've examined the situation. You've ideated and you've decided what to do. Here's what I can do about it. Agency is taken back. Options exist. A choice gets made. Energy points at action so we can move forward, which is why it's called forward. The line I want you to remember is this. Reverse is, this is happening to me. Neutral is, this is what's happening. And forward is, here's what I can do about it. Same facts, three completely different relationships to them. Let me make this concrete for you. Imagine someone on your team, let's call her Maya. Maya has just had her project deprioritized in the planning round. In reverse, Maya says, honestly, why do I bother? Who hasn't heard that phrase from herself or from others? She's thinking she isn't valued, nothing, never will be, and things are just happening to her projects. The situation is happening to her. The story has already generalized into always and never. When she's in neutral, Maya will instead say, okay, the project's pushed 2 quarters. The stated reason is the revenue push. I don't love it, but that's the landscape. Facts. But she's standing with them this time rather than underneath them. At first, she's underneath them. She's pressured. She's down. Now she's in factual space. Now she can ideate and problem solve. Then in forward, she's taking agency. If revenue is the priority, there's a version of my platform work that directly serves it, and I want 15 minutes with the director to reframe it in that way. Same prioritization, but 3 completely different people to lead. Reverse, neutral, and forward. We want to get to agency, but we have to go through neutral. The whole discipline of coaching, underneath every technique out there, is this. Diagnose which state the person is in and never skip a gear. You cannot pull someone from reverse straight to forward. The move is always reverse to neutral, then neutral to forward. Most well-meaning leadership conversations fail because the leader who is already in forward herself tries to drag the other person there in one jump. That's what all the unsolicited advice actually is. A forward state answer delivered to a reverse state person. It's not wrong, it's mistimed. And the mistiming is the same as wrong. Now, here's the part that separates real coaching skills from a nice model on a slide. And it's something I've added front and center in how I teach this, because missing it is where I've experienced leaders and frankly, a lot of trained coaches go wrong. Two of the states have counterfeits. In fact, I think the biggest job I have is recognizing false states. Let's talk about false neutral. This is where we think the person's in neutral, but actually it's about to collapse. It's a calm that's really collapse happening. It sounds measured. It is what it is. I'm fine. Honestly, if I've accepted it. It presents as neutral, but listen closer. And there's no aliveness. There's no curiosity about the situation. There's maybe just one solution. It's just flat. There's not acceptance. There's resignation. Wearing acceptance's clothes, right? You got to make sure this person has truly accepted rather than in denial. This person has not moved from reverse to neutral. They've given up inside reverse and gone quiet. Treat false neutral as real neutral, and options won't actually open up. You'll be doing all the ideating, so you're mentoring again. You'll get compliance nodding along, but zero follow through when you move them to forward, because underneath, they believe things don't matter. They are still in reverse. The second counterfeit situation is false forward. A plan is laid out, but there's an unaddressed feeling deep inside. This one is everyone and everywhere. It's all the time, because it's a culture of action that we live in. We arrive at a plan, crisp, structured, already moving, move forward. But the plan was built on an escape route. It was a feeling that wasn't addressed, a situation that wasn't addressed. The tell is speed without groundedness. Often a false forward will halt after a few days or a week because actually there is nothing giving them the energy they need. Remember a couple of episodes ago, we talked about the energy model of bravery, grit, and confidence. When we've got a false forward, there's no energy for bravery or grit at all. There is a temporary bravery moment, maybe some naivety going on in there, but there's no energy to actually go through. We want permission to sprint because slowing down feels like the thing we're outrunning. False forward gets a plan executed briefly, sometimes impressively, but we're often solving the wrong problem. The resignation letter written in anger, the reorg announced to avoid a hard conversation with one person, the avoiding putting somebody on a pip because it feels easier. I see both of these weekly in my coaching work, and here's what I want you to notice. Your highest performers are the most likely people to present as counterfeits because they're skilled at looking composed and skilled at producing plans. The leaders who can spot false neutral and false forward in their people have a diagnostic capability that almost nobody around them has. It's not a soft skill, it's a real skill. It's a skill of seeing the actual state of your organization and your people instead of its performance of a state. And honestly, it's the biggest game changer in accelerating your team. Okay, so let's talk about how can we actually use this information, this reverse neutral forward and these false neutrals and false forwards. What can you do with this starting today in your next one-on-one? I know you don't have an hour per person for deep coaching sessions. I get that. So here's some good news. You do not need one. What I want you to do is start doing this in your regular one-on-ones in just a few minutes. This is a framework I teach all of my clients, all of my trainee coaches, a 5-minute one-on-one conversation that surfaces a problem and you can hopefully move them forward. First of all, diagnose. 30 seconds of genuinely listening for state, not content. Is this person in reverse, neutral, or forward? Is the calm real? Is the plan grounded? You're listening for their relationship to the facts, not the facts. If you are going to trust your team to solve problems, you don't need to verify the facts. You need to trust them. And this is why you get to coaching once you've built relationships with your team, by the way. You need to trust them, and instead you're listening for their relationship to the fact, not the facts themselves. They will be telling you the facts. How do they sound about them? That's really quick, 30 to 60 seconds. Secondly, meet them in their gear. If you've heard reverse, do not problem solve. Every coach I train starts with problem solving. That is not what we're doing. That's mentoring. You need to help her be heard. That sounds genuinely frustrating. Tell me what's hardest there. You're not wallowing with them. You're letting the charge discharge. So neutral becomes available. If she's in neutral, help her see that. What do we actually know? What's in your control here? If she's genuinely in forward, get out of her way. What's your first step? What do you need from me? Unblock her. Then thirdly, ask, don't tell. The core move of coaching is the question that makes them do the thinking. What have you already considered? What would you do if I wasn't available? What's the real problem underneath this one? Why are you feeling you can't solve this on your own? Your expertise doesn't disappear. You're still a sounding board. You're still a sounding chick. I do this all the time for my clients. I'm a sounding board. I will throw ideas out, but I assess the state and I try and get information from them first. It is a much better question to ask, what's the real question underneath this? What would you do if I wasn't here? Than to answer it yourself. And notice these same skills work upwards too. Coaching style questions are one of the most powerful tools for managing up and being heard by people senior to you. Do this consistently and something really exciting happens. I've watched this so many times. Team after team after team. People start arriving pre-coached. I know you're going to ask this and I've already considered it. Here's my thinking. Here's where I'm stuck. That sentence, when you first hear that, it's absolute joy. It's the sound of capability being built. I typically get this after 6 months of coaching somebody, and it's why I love coaching people for years, because they learn how to do some self-coaching, and then we're having just like that whole other level of conversation. It's the same simple coaching effect I've talked about before, and it compounds everything. Every conversation where they do the thinking makes the next problem less likely to reach your desk at all. You become the accelerator in the conversation rather than the problem solver. So, will coaching make you a better leader? Well, let me tell you what I actually see change in the leaders who build this skill out properly, because it goes well beyond nicer one-on-ones. Your team's capability stops being capped by your availability. This is the big one. Problems get solved at that level that they occur at. The quality of thinking around you rises because you've been raising it deliberately, conversation by conversation. Your calendar starts coming back to you, and the time that returns is exactly the time you needed for the strategic work that gets you seen as a leader higher up the chain, rather than the hero at your current level with a big team. Your one-to-ones change character immediately, and your reputation changes with it, because she grows people is one of the most powerful things that can be said about a leader in any successful conversation. We want leaders that grow people, because ultimately companies need to grow, teams need to evolve. If you heard my episode 2 episodes ago on bravery, grit and confidence, you'll recognize this. It goes on all the time. It's the discipline of building evidence-based conversation and another human being deliberately, so that hard things get cheaper for them and for the team over time. That's the engine of a team that can do hard things without burning out. Hard things when you're on vacation too. And then there's a deeper change, one that I didn't expect when I first started teaching this to leaders rather than just coaches. The leaders who learn to coach get better at leading themselves. Once you can spot reverse, neutral and forward, and false neutral and false forward in other people, you start seeing it in your own head. The resignation you'd been calling for, or accepting that you're just going to have to move on, the frantic plan you've been calling decisiveness, self-coaching, being able to diagnose your state of mind and move yourself deliberately through the gears might be the single highest leverage skill I can teach you. And it's why I built into my Ignite coaching program a bonus module that is explicitly on self-coaching, because I truly believe if you can self-coach, you can lead anyone, anywhere. Now, let me answer something I hear from a lot of people. Toni, I don't want to be a coach. I'm a tech leader. Good. is my short answer. I'm here doing this work as an executive coach for women in tech. If you've not heard me say this before, let me just tell you this. I do this because I truly believe the human race needs better technology desperately. And a lot of technology is not as good as it could be because we don't have great leadership. I've seen great ideas stall. I've seen great ideas thrown out by an undiverse leadership team. The quickest win to better products is a more diverse leadership team. And women are 51% of the human race, and we are nowhere near 51% of tech leadership. I don't know what the current number is, but it's pretty damn depressing. I do this because I truly believe by elevating women in the tech industry and across all roles, not just tech roles, I truly believe that is the fastest way to save the human race from our own problems. Let's just stop there. Let's get very existential. That's why I do this work. And so as much as when I meet a woman, I am there to support her, including coaching her out of tech if that's what she wants. And I have coached a lot of women into starting their own coaching businesses too. I won't deny that. But ultimately, I do this because I truly believe the world needs every single one of you leading tech companies. So if I say to you that becoming a coach is going to make you a better leader, it is not because I want you to become a full-time coach and change your career. If you end up doing that, that's fine. It's not because I want you to do something completely different. It is because I truly believe it is going to help you be the leader that changes the world. If you are missing a skill from your leadership skill set, we often think, I just built that. So for example, maybe you do some public speaking training. That doesn't mean you're going to become a public speaker. It means it's something you're adding to your leadership toolkit, and coaching is the same category. It's a learnable capability that makes you dramatically better at the job you already have and the next level up. Whether you ever call yourself a coach is entirely optional. And as you hear about it, so is any certification. You don't have to certify. What you need is the skill set. Everything I share today, from the framework, the counterfeit states, the 5-minute conversation, is what I teach in depth, in full, inside my Ignite Coach Academy, where we are learning how to coach people to ignite their careers. It's my coach training program. And as I said at the beginning of this episode, it's the first time I've run it in a couple of years because I took a year off for personal reasons last year. It's an addition to my coaching practice. I don't do it all the time. It's 14 weeks, starting Monday, 14th of September, and enrollment closes on Friday, 11th September. So if you want to learn how to diagnose where your team is stuck in a 5-minute moment or a full session and move them forward, diagnosis is what I spend the first month teaching you. It is everything about coach training, is learning how to diagnose. You'll learn self-coaching plus coaching on your one-on-ones. If you want to, there's even a bonus module available on being an entrepreneur as well. If this sounds like the kind of thing you're after, go and have a look at the webpage. You'll find the link in the show notes. But if you're wondering, is this what I need right now? Is it too big? Do I have the energy for it? Thinking back to the episode 2 episodes ago, let's have a chat. Let's meet, and I will tell you if now is the time or not. I'm the first person to say it doesn't sound like this is the right time for you, because it is a time commitment. It's an energy commitment. Go to tonicollis.com/let's-chat, or click in the show notes if you want to just go and have a straight look at the sales page. But if you want to have a chat, no pressure, just a real conversation, head on to let's-chat. As always, thank you for listening. And remember, keep leading. Whatever flavor of leadership it is you're doing, keep leading. We need you changing the world. Bye for now.